That is the brand new single from Brendan Quinn. It's called Will We Ever Be Free? And I'm pleased to say the man himself joins us now on the line. Brendan, how are you?
Very well, Robin. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So the track, Will We Ever Be Free? That's a question I think we're all asking ourselves these days, isn't it?
We're into another serious bout of this deadly virus, and I don't know how we're going to survive it at all. We seem to be in serious trouble. But getting back to the tune, it was written during the lockdown. I was fairly active. I was trying to keep my spirits up, if you know what I mean. When you lose all your gigs after 50 years of gigging, Robin, and all of a sudden on the 23rd of February, I haven't worked since the 23rd of February, and
Crazy.
a bit of a shock when you can't do what you've been doing for years and years. But anyway, I've written 3 or 4 songs during the lockdown, and they're going to be included on an album that I intend to release after this. For Christmas, for the Christmas market.
So what about the whole
If there is a Christmas.
There is a Christmas indeed, yeah. So what about the whole lockdown period for yourself? Was it a difficult time?
It was a difficult time in that I wasn't able to gig, and that's the only really complaint that I could make. We are in North Donegal here, on the Fannet Peninsula. We're up towards the Fannet Lighthouse, and it's a very sparsely populated area. There's not too many folk about, and there's no such thing as kind of social distancing. You don't have to, unless you're in pubs, and I don't go into pubs. I'm not a drinker. So all I do and all I did through the lockdown was take me walk.
Yeah.
And I started to do live streams after a while. I ended up doing 100 days.
Wow.
I used to go on every day at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And do 5, 6 songs, maybe 7 songs sometimes, because I checked back, and I did 100 days at it, and I reckon I sang over 600 songs, maybe 700 songs.
Wow, so you've got that amount of songs in your back catalogue that you remember. That's amazing.
Well, what I did was, as I got into it and I realised I was going to commit to doing it every day, I used to go online at night and search through old country stuff, old songs that I might have remembered way back and kind of resurrect. I did a song called Hickory Holler's Tramp. Do you remember that one?
O.C. Smith, I love it.
O.C. Smith had but that was an old country song, Robin, way back. And he did a pop version of it. So I kind of resurrected old songs like that and sang them, and it was good crack, And then there was very good interaction from people that were online, and some of them were on every day. I had a guy from Red Deer, Alberta, and he used to log in. He's 7 years behind us, so he used to log in at 9 o'clock in the morning when they got up. And he was on every day, It was amazing.
So looking back at songs like the Hickory Holler's Tramp and stuff, and resurrecting songs like that, do you ever remember things like, what was the first record you ever bought? Do you remember?
First record I ever bought was Merle Haggard's Hag album.
Yeah.
Way back in about 69 or something. There were songs like Silver Wings and Mama's Hungry Eyes, and just a classic album,
Yeah.
That was the first. I don't think I ever bought a single, Robin.
Right, yeah.
Too mean.
So, of course, years later, you would get to meet your legends like Merle Haggard, wouldn't you?
Oh, I worked with them.
Yeah.
I worked a couple of gigs with Merle in America in the 80s. We had a tour there for a month in the 80s, and we were on a festival in a place called Independence, Kansas, for Halloween, actually. It was a Halloween weekend, and this promoter brought on a load of American acts. J.C.C. Dalton, the girl, Ronnie Millsap, Merle Haggard, Don Williams, George Jones, everybody was there. And we opened for Haggard one night. And he was very intrigued with our piano player who played Irish traditional accordion music. We used to do a set with Irish music in it. And after the gig was over, we were all staying in the same hotel. And his piano player came up to us said Merle would like to see you guys. He doesn't want to come up out of the room. He would like you guys to join him in the room and bring the accordion with you.
Right.
Because he wanted to hear this Irish accordion music. And he was really enthralled by this. Seamus played a few jigs and a few reels. And he was amazed by it, you know. We spent 5 or 6 hours in his bedroom that night. And Robin, there wasn't a camera or a tape recorder or anything. This was 1980, of course.
Yeah. How did all those big American stars react to the Irish acts coming across? Because obviously Ireland is the biggest country music scene outside of America. What was the reactions like?
Yeah, well, as I say, Haggart said to me, I was in Ireland once, he says. I played Belfast. And he played the King's Hall one night. And he didn't, when he was told he was going to Belfast, he didn't relish the thought because, you know, we were in the throes of the Troubles and all of that. But he did mention that to me, the fact that he played the King's Hall in Belfast. He didn't mention the King's Hall, he just said he played Belfast.
What about guys like George Jones and American legends like that? Because you worked with him as well, didn't you?
I met George a couple of times, but I never worked. I met him with Big T at a hotel in London when they used to put on those country festivals at Easter time at Wembley. Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Back in I think they finished drums sometime around the early 80s, but all through the 70s, Mervyn Conn used to put on this big festival for the whole weekend of Easter. And T and I met George at about 2 o'clock on the Saturday, the Royal Garden City Hotel, and there he was sitting on his own. Trevor says, there's George Jones. So Trevor goes over, you know, how you doing? And the first thing George said was, look, guys, I'm on at 6 o'clock and I can't be drinking. Of course, that was it. He was carried onto the stage at 5:45, out of it.
And it was all Big T's fault.
All Big T's fault. That's what I'm saying, anyway.
Brendan, you've obviously seen lots of changes in the music industry over the years, and especially on radio when we're talking about people like Big T. Radio's really changed now, hasn't it?
Everything in the music business has changed since the internet came along, you know, and all the advances that made. It really, it just ruined the music business.
Yeah.
It just ruined it. There's nobody pays for music and don't buy records. I mean, I have a CD here that I was trying to get a couple of tracks off, turn them into MP3s. And I couldn't find a laptop that would take a CD player. They used to have them. Yeah. Same with cars. You don't get a CD player in a car anymore.
No.
So, I mean, it's all download, and music business has changed, Robin. And the internet has ruined it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For the artists, you know, they don't get paid for their work. No. Spotify, like you get 15 million hits and you get a $5 or something, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. I see behind you there, Brendan, on your wall. I see the late great Henry McCullough hanging up there.
I see Henry. Henry's a great friend of mine. We became great friends. So, in fact, there's a photograph there of a gig that we did. Now that's an iconic photograph of Artie McGlynn and Nolly Casey and Henry McCullough, Nicky Scott, my two sons. We did a gig. That was a concert gig. We did about 7 or 8 years ago.
What a lineup.
Henry was a magic man, I loved him. Great man.
How did you and Henry first meet? Because obviously Henry started off in the show bands way back, and you did as well. So was that the first time you guys crossed paths?
That's right. I was on Spuds one night. I went to a pub in Port Stewart way back, early 80s, and I saw this guy with a check suit on him. And he looked familiar. And I walked over and I says, "Are you Henry McCullough?" He says, "I am." And I says, "I'm Brendan Quinn. I used to love you when you were in Gene and the Gents." Yeah. And he started to laugh. So from that moment on, we became friends, and I used to visit his house, and he used to come to our house, him and Josie, when he wasn't gigging, and I would give him a hand with PAs and stuff if we had a gig coming up. I was just a great friend, you know.
And there's not too many people from Ireland can say they played Woodstock twice and also shared a stage with Jimi Hendrix and people like that. He did.
Oh, I rehearsed with Paul McCartney. I mean, he he rehearsed the whole band on the Run album, right? And they're ready to go to Africa to record. And Henry and the drummer called Denny Selwell decided that they weren't going to be in the band anymore.
Yeah.
So they left the bloody band, and Paul had to go to Africa and make the album on his own. He played the drums on it himself.
Wow.
And amazing, isn't it?
And of course, you think about that great guitar solo on My Love as well. That was Henry behind that.
Magic. And they scared the devil out of Paul because they told him he was going to change the solo. You're what? And what are you going to play, Paul says. And Henry says, I don't know.
Brilliant. Well, Brendan, the new record is out now, and we can expect an album for Christmas, yeah?
Yes, the album's called Lockdown.
All right. Well, Brendan, we look forward to that, and as always, good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, Robin, and thanks very much for the interview.